I had it all figured out.
Hey, my friend.
Oh!
Can you hear me?
Knew which road I would
I can hear you.
go down.
Yeah?
Yes. Success.
Awesome.
Thought I could do
Third time's the charm.
it
Third time is the
all.
charm, I guess so. That is the truth.
Dig it. So what's going on?
Oh, not too much. So welcome to my little video series for the record. It is going to be
I'm honored to be a part of it.
Story Hour, where we kind of go through each song and the story behind each song. So yeah, I just wanted to bring you on here and talk about Detour.
I love it. Yeah, which is such an awesome song. I when you sent me that voice memo, I was as I was listening to it, it brought back such good memories. Like I remember like where we were when we were writing it. I was like, oh, I miss it so much.
Yeah, you were in that house on the east side of Nashville. Who were you living with at the time?
So I was with Luke Zavada, Billy Campbell, and Samuel Moore.
That was a good group. I liked those guys.
Right? Yeah, it was a solid creative household, which is nice. And yeah, I forgot that we put some piano on it when we did that demo, which was I thought sounded good, and also I was surprised with how good the demo turned out initially. Like as I was listening to it, I was like, I don't think there's like a single mistake in there, which is kind of rare, you know. So,
yeah, very true. Very true. I know we haven't written that many songs together, but I think all of them we've put out in some way. So like they've all been for those of you who have listened to my music before, or listened to my last EP, Trace and I wrote Bathwater together, which has been one of my favorite songs in Nashville.
But even so, when the bathwater's getting cold, yes, and these words are getting old, but I wanted you to know that I will always love you. It's about
and so Bathwater,
My Heart, My Mind.
My Heart, My Mind, and then Detour will be our third. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
3 for 3.
cool. It's such an interesting thing. Tell me about like your experience in Nashville and writing songs with people, and just like the co-writing process to you.
Yeah. It's a great question. Honestly, when I moved to Nashville, I don't think I realized like how prominent like co-writing was, because like I was in California for 2 years before that, and like it's just not really like a co-writing kind of place out there. So when I got to Nashville, I realized that like songwriter in the rounds, like that was like the main kind of show, and I loved it. And I remember I met you through South for Winter. It was through
Emily.
Through Emily.
Emily in Austin.
Yeah, exactly. And it was cool. And then we did some songwriters rounds, and it was just awesome. I fell in love with the idea of just like constantly co-writing and playing shows together. And as a result, you and I wrote a couple songs together, and just like meeting all the other bands in Nashville was an incredible experience, and I think I realized how many talented people are out there, and I'm just super thankful for the 2-year span that I had out there, and for all the different people that I got to meet. So
yeah, absolutely. I have always loved writing songs with you because I do a lot of co-writing in Nashville, and for a lot of different artists and different purposes, but writing with you, like we always write from the heart. Like it's always coming from a really real place, and I think that's where the best songs come from. So I think that's probably why I brought this song idea to you, because it was like such a real. Well, do you remember the story behind it?
What 100%. That was that's probably like one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
It's just
so
you
funny.
like when you told it to me, I was like that's an incredible story, and the song that came from it was awesome.
Heck yeah. It really came for my friends on Patreon here. The song idea, really the title was given to me from my old neighbors. They grew up next door to me in Cary, Illinois, and they a couple years ago moved out to Conifer, Colorado, and it was like this beautiful mountain home, just like tucked away, like you could see all of the ranges from their like porch. I was like, what the heck? I was like, how long have you guys been trying to get here? And Mr. Taylor, my neighbor, told me that he's been trying to get to Colorado since he was 18 years old, and I was like, took you long enough. And he said he ended up taking one interview to make sure he could get a job and staying behind because the person who interviewed him was the future Mrs. Taylor. And he said he stayed behind for those pretty blue eyes. And I was like, okay, Mr. Taylor, I guess that love is a pretty good detour. And he's like, that's the name of your next country hit.
And you're like, yep, I'm going to write that down right now.
I was like, well, that might work. But I love the concept. I love I'm a romantic. I know you're a romantic too. But like, so you could go somewhere that you've dreamed of going at 18, and that would be beautiful in its own way. Or you let life and the universe take its course, and you end up being in a place you love with someone that you loved, and how much more powerful is that?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
which is, that's such an awesome idea. And the idea that especially love being a detour, I think is so powerful, because that's like one of the most, if not the most, powerful emotion that we have. And like, what you were saying in terms of writing music from the heart, I think is so important. And also making decisions from the heart is such a important thing. And I love how this song really speaks to that.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I went through maybe far too long of a fiercely independent phase where I thought that any like move that you made like for love was like negative in some way. Like I would look at, people following boyfriends or following girlfriends to somewhere, and I was like, there's so much danger in that, but there's also so much beauty in like trusting that process and in just giving it a shot. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also used to be a lot more in that mindset that it's like, no, like I'm going to pursue my dreams, and like, this is, how it's going to be. And at the same time, I think kind of getting older, I realized that like, that's how powerful love is it can, bring you down a different road, potentially, and it'll most likely be worth it. So
true.
Yeah.
I like very vividly remember that like afternoon writing the song too, because you had that first like line of the chorus that when fate has its way, like you like played that on the piano, and I was like, Trace was the perfect person to bring into the song. I'm so happy. I was like, oh my God. And then the rest of the chorus just came right to us, which was so cool.
Yeah. Did we write most of it at my place, or I thought I remember writing some of it or most of it at your place on your balcony. You remember?
Oh, the little house.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure like we like started it there, and then maybe like next time you were over, then we I might have even brought my piano over to your place.
Yeah, you might be right. I think it did start there at the little house.
Yeah, which is an awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a good like songwriting little nook, I feel like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was like honestly the tiniest place I've ever lived to. It was like 2 other musicians, and it was like the closest of quarters, but like something about being on Music Row in Nashville. And we found out right before we moved from that house that it was painted blue, and we found out that the songwriter who wrote George Strait's Baby Blue like owned that house, and that's why it was painted blue. So it had some magic in it. Yes.
I don't think I knew that. That absolutely has some magic to it then.
We didn't really know until we were moving out of it, because the renters downstairs were starting to paint it white. And then somebody told us that story, and my roommate at the time, Monica, went up to the painters and was like, "You are destroying Nashville history right now." And like, I think
it's like, what are you doing? Stop.
And they stopped painting, so they left it mostly blue.
That's great. It's definitely good to know that even the painters in Nashville understand that you can't go messing with history.
No. Can't mess with that Nashville magic.
No way.
Yeah, that's the truth of the matter.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I love that the song that is about Colorado in its nature also sort of led us to touring out in Colorado together. Like playing
That's
that
so
Rough
true.
Shows was kind of a sweet place to debut that song on the road.
That's so true. Yeah, and that whole Colorado tour was awesome. That brought such good memories. That was probably my favorite tour that I've done. I'm not gonna lie.
That was so fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was literally one of those, like, every night of the week there was something, and then like you would work during the day, I would hike in the mountains with Howie, and then
Yeah.
show. It was a really lovely couple of weeks.
Yeah. When the world opens back up in like a couple of years, we're gonna have to see if we can't do it again.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we've got some places to revisit. Probably some places that we won't revisit too.
Yeah. Well said. When you sent me that video the other day of the guy with the
With the accordion.
Yeah, the accordion. Yeah, thank you. I was like, what do you call that?
We played this place in Aurora, Colorado that was legitimately a German restaurant, and they had an accordion player before. And we were just paid in like mugs of beer, right? Like the steins of.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
And they're like, we'll take it. We'll take good beer and good food. This works out.
That's a treat. So what is your favorite part about writing songs, about making music? Give me a little more.
That's a great question. I would say kind of like what we were talking about before, and I would agree that you are also my one of my, if not the favorite co-writer as well. Just because one, like every time we're together, we're never like, what do we do? Like we don't have anything. We always come up with something, which is awesome. And I think to that point, just writing with emotion. I know music, for me really came about when I was 16 and just going through a lot family-wise and health-wise. And so it was really an escape. And so the ability to put, just like whatever I'm dealing with into songs has been such a huge gift. And I'm really thankful for that, because I feel like I can't always like necessarily articulate, what I'm trying to say necessarily when I'm speaking, which is funny because I'm a therapist and I'm a musician. So you'd think I would be, able to kind of spit it out better when I'm just talking. But with music, I'm sure you can, relate. It makes sense. And you can say these things that are more difficult to say in a more profound, kind of beautiful, emotional way. So that just the ability just to really kind of get how I'm feeling out. And with my voice, I think just the ability to kind of work on my voice and singing is such an awesome therapeutic thing. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you?
Similar, definitely. I think songwriting for me is either the best therapy that I have found in getting through things and working through things. But also I think it's a spirit of documenting too, of like of capturing moments that I get to return to. That if it's a song about a place, if it's a song about a moment of love, a moment of loss, like I relive it every time that I sing it, so that it's like it's the closest thing to time travel that we'll ever have. I think that the fact that people hear a song and it brings them back to a memory that they, experienced 10 years ago is like the most magical thing.
That is so well said. And I couldn't agree more. And it's funny because as I was finishing up the last leg of my trip coming here, I was listening to this podcast called Broken Record with Bruce Springsteen as the guest. Okay. And I know you love Bruce Springsteen, and he was talking about that idea. I think they had asked him like, what's your favorite song or whatever it is, and he's like it's not really about that. It's more so like they like all of my songs really document like certain parts of my life. And he's like, when I go back and listen to a record, he's like, I can picture where I was and like what was going on with him and with the world at that time. So
that is amazing, and I think that is so funny to me, especially because I love Springsteen so much because my best friends at 17, when we were in high school, that was the music. I don't know why, because it wasn't technically our generation or whatever, but that was the music we were blasting with the windows rolled down. It was like Around Thunder Road, and it's like those songs to me are like innocence, like that summer after high school, like in a record. So
Exactly, right?
I love that he thinks that way too. That makes me so excited. I love that podcast too. Broken Record is awesome.
It's so good, right?
Yeah. Who interviewed him for that? Was it Malcolm Gladwell or Rick Rubin?
It was Rick Rubin primarily, and then Malcolm Gladwell kind of like chimed in because usually it's one or the other, but it was both of them for that one. I think they're both just like, ooh, Bruce Springsteen. I want to talk with him. Yeah.
Have you listened to the one with Brandi Carlile and Tanya Tucker?
Yes. It's so funny because whenever I listen to that, I think of you because you like the song, her song, The Mother is one of your favorites, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just like every time I hear her play that, one, I break down crying because I'm like, this is just absolutely beautiful. And I remember that you got to see her play that live in Nashville.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Not in Nashville. Actually, it was in Milwaukee. And
oh, really?
yeah, and that was such an amazing day for me all around because I had played like an early set at Summerfest, and then she was performing an acoustic set, and you had to be one of the first like 50 people to get there, and I was like 65. Like I was close, but I did not get a ticket. And then I was going on to play my set, and one of my sweet fans and who's become a dear friend, who's on Patreon with us too, he gave me the acoustic set ticket. He's like, take it, this means so much more to you than it does to me. And I was like, this is the best ever. And she played that song, and her daughter Evangeline was there. Like, so she sang it to her, and I was just like in tears. And it was so beautiful.
I bet that was amazing.
Yeah.
Because she and especially speaking of, singing from your heart and from your soul, like you can just tell from her voice, like she just sings from every ounce of what she's been through, and it's just I love her voice and her songwriting style so much.
Me too. And she's somebody really who has just worked at it for so many years and just like trusted in it. And I really respect that for us as like working musicians and artists. Like we're never gonna stop. Like this is what we love the most. And it's just like a slow and steady, beautiful journey,
Yeah, it's so true, right? Because like I think she's like 39 or 40 at this point. Yeah. And so it's like just to know, it's like her and some other people who kind of made it a little bit later on in life, like really provide some inspiration to be like, okay, if you don't make it by the time you're 21 and you're like a pop, sensation or whatever, it's like you said, still continue on that beautiful journey of songwriting and about learning about yourself, and and it'll eventually come. And in the meantime, just like to enjoy every single part of it is something that I learned from her and from Bahamas music, and a couple other artists as well. So
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Trace. Thank you for being a part of this little video series, and honestly for being a part of the record and
for sure
being a great child in this world. It's been great to catch up with you.
Oh, it was so good, my friend. I miss you big time, and thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to hear the record.
Heck yeah. Sounds good. Have a great day over there. Have a
Talk
good
to you soon.
Bye.
See you.